Do you ever feel like life is so hard you don't know if you can take another step? Do you ever feel like your life is a dizzying merry-go-round and all you want to do is get off and be done with this craziness? I remember back to when I felt that way. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. I was a single mom, broke, no alimony, or we call it in Canada spousal support, and trying to scrape together enough money to support my daughter and me. It was very challenging times, and there were times when I lost sight of hope. There were times when I actually really felt like I just wanted God to take me home because I just felt so weary. And then I found some of the encouraging verses in the Bible. And I'd been talking to God for quite some time and listening to him, and I hoped that he would restore my marriage. But now I realize that he actually brought in that other woman to free me and set me free so that I could live the life unchained that he had made me to live. Now I have 7 years, I guess it's almost 8 years later now, since I became a single mom. I finally won in court a little settlement, enough to, get a little place of my own here. And I no longer have any abusers in my life. The only one left is in my mind. And I know God is going to help me with that. So I want to encourage you. Here I sit, years and years after wishing that I would just die. And I want to encourage you that if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling down, that God is faithful is not just a saying. God has stepped in, and he's been the loving, supportive father that I always needed. I never knew my mom, and recently God told me that he can even fill that space left by my mom. And I don't cry about it anymore. Not all the time. There's still a lot of trauma and things I've gone through in my life, and I'm a very sensitive soul. I'm an empath, and I feel things very, very deeply. But God is helping me to walk and be stronger and walk into my healing day by day. So if you just lean on God, find a few verses in the Bible, like God sent me to Joel 2:25, which is, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. And I remember thinking, that's a lot of years, growing up in a home without a mom, a couple basically abusive stepmothers. My dad was shocked and empty at the loss of my mom when I was just 4.5 months old, and my sister was 2.5. It was really a struggle. He didn't know God, and he's also a sensitive soul like myself. So he put on this rough exterior, and he was kind of hard on us. And that wasn't easy for me because I was so sensitive, and it really gave me a lot of complexes that I've had to work on healing. And then I was in a marriage that I thought, I finally found somebody to love me, but it maybe wasn't the greatest match. So, that left me with some scars. And we had a son that they thought was going to die, but he was our miracle boy. And we prayed him through that, even though he was 1 pound and 14 ounces. He had 5 surgeries. But now you'd never know it. He's the most amazing child, grown into a 26-year-old, kind, sensitive, dear person. And my daughter, the same. She stuck with me through thick and thin. I was really, really broken. He left us at the end of 2013, and all through 2014, I just wanted to be done. And I had to cling to my desire for life because of my daughter. Every one of us needs a purpose and a reason. And my daughter was my reason. And I thought, you know what? I am not going down. I am going to show her that I can heal and I can become a strong woman with the Lord strengthening me. So the Lord sent me some very, very comforting passages, such as Jeremiah 29:11, where he says, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. And those words, he's going to give me a hope and a future. I don't feel like I have a future, and I don't feel like I have a hope. So, man, I really needed those words. And Romans 8:28, for all things work for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. I thought, I do. I love you, God. I love you. And I want to serve you, and I want to be your good girl. And I want to be pure in spirit, and I want to just share your love. So if all things work for good, what about, all those sexual abusers in my life? How is that going to work for good? And now looking back, I realize that in the times of hardship and suffering, God was there. He didn't stop it, and that's just fine, because he's not like a genie. We rub a lamp and make a wish. What he does is he will only allow something that will help us to bear more fruit in our lives. If we never suffer, I really believe we can not really develop compassion to the level that we need to help our fellow human beings. So I'm really glad that I went through that time. And I hope and pray that maybe this video might give you a little bit of hope that you can get past this. Just believe in God. And I'll try to make some more videos and tell you more about my journey and how God has carried me. And he's made the most amazing miracles. It's astounding the way he's been there for me. I'm going to have to read through some of my older journals, because I'm a different person now than I was then. I was so broken, and I was so crushed in spirit. God told me that I needed to study the life cycle of a caterpillar and a butterfly. So I did, and I found out that a caterpillar, God said the way you were like a caterpillar is you were crawling on your belly, eating the dust of others, and getting your head stepped on by the bullies in your life. And then you went into a very dark place. And what happens to a caterpillar when it goes into the cocoon, and I call that my years that I wanted to die. That was during the marriage and then just after the breakup. And in that dark place, the caterpillar actually melts into a soup inside that cocoon. And inside the caterpillar are these genetic markers. And God told me you can call them seeds of a butterfly. And the caterpillar had to melt into this soup to feed the seeds of the butterfly. And the butterfly had to fight and get out of that dark place, but the Lord and nature supports that. The butterfly is born for that fight. You are born. You are born to fight. Fight your way out of the dark place. That's what we're born for, and God is here to help us. So the butterfly fights its way out, and then it not only does it never crawl on its belly again, it flies, and it's beautiful, and it sips on nectar. It never has to go and find leaves to munch on anymore. It lives on nectar for the rest of its life. The butterfly is just one expression of God's beauty and love that he gives us as a metaphor and an example of how he can transform our lives. And he told me he's going to help me become less of a caterpillar and more of the butterfly that I was born to be. So I pray that you'll lean on God, and I'll search my journals, and I'll tell you some more soon. God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.